The Treaty of Versailles and the Rise of the Nazi Party. The year is 1919. U.S. President Woodrow Wilson, British Prime Minister David Lloyd George, and French Prime Minister Georges Clemenceau are in Paris to work out the peace treaty to end the First World War. On June 28, 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed. British Minister for War Sir Alfred Milner called this the peace treaty to end all peace. Rather than ending World War I, the Treaty of Versailles left a legacy of political and geographical difficulties which have often been blamed, sometimes solely, for starting World War II. With the signing of the treaty, Germany lost 13% of its land, including nearly half of its iron resources. Germany had to agree to the return of Alsace and Lorraine to France, the surrender of territory in Belgium, and the French occupation of Germany's coal-rich Saar for 15 years. On top of the loss of territory, Germany's army was reduced to 100,000 men and deprived of offensive weapons such as tanks. Germany could no longer have an air force, its navy was deprived of submarines and cut to just 36 ships, and she was forced into the demilitarization of the left bank of the Rhine and of the right bank to the depth of 40 miles, with an Allied military presence remaining pending full payment of reparations. Germany took its hardest hits with the last 2 points of the treaty. Germany was required to accept full responsibility for the First World War and pay reparations, but the amount remained unspecified. Clemenceau hoped that Germany would be unable or unwilling to pay, allowing France to stay on the Rhine indefinitely. The people of Germany saw a somewhat mild end to the war. They saw German soldiers march home in good order with crowds cheering. In Berlin, new President Friedrich Ebert, depicted here, greeted them with, "No enemy has conquered you." While they recognized that lives had been lost, most did not feel as though they truly lost the war. What did spark their outrage was the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. The head of the German delegation, when he saw what was in the treaty, summed up his interpretation in just 4 words: Germany renounces its existence. As Germany was struggling to find its place in the world again, and the Treaty of Versailles seemingly prevented the country from being able to move on, Adolf Hitler began his rise to power. The people of Germany were desperate to believe in something, and he was someone who could make them believe anything. Hitler used propaganda to convince German people that he would help them rebuild the country. He also used propaganda to convince Germans that Jewish people were to blame for many of their problems. This poster depicts a Jewish man and says, "The war is his fault," thus setting the groundwork for the Holocaust. In March of 1935, Hitler announced that Germany had a new air force, thus violating the Treaty of Versailles. The following week, the government formally declared that they would no longer follow the treaty in regards to the size of the German military. The government expanded the military from 100,000 troops to 550,000. Hitler and the Nazi Party continued to gain support by using the negative effects of the Treaty of Versailles. Rallies at Nuremberg were held each year from 1923 to 1939 for the Nazi Party. The 1938 Nuremberg Rally was called the Rally of Greater Germany because of the annexation of Austria to Germany earlier that year. This annexation set off a chain of events which eventually led to September 1939, when Adolf Hitler and his German army invaded Poland, officially starting World War II.